Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Broken Worship Podcast. I'm your host, Zach Mitchell. Today's episode is a very special episode. If you have been following my podcast for a while, you might remember in my music segment, What's New with Music, I've been talking about a band called So Much Hope Buried. Today, I have the privilege and awesome opportunity to have the whole band on the podcast. So I'm very excited to have them on. So without further ado, I would like to welcome the members of So Much Hope Buried. Thanks, you guys.
What's
Hey,
up, Zach?
what's
Thanks for
up?
having us, man.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
It's great to see you.
So could we start off with having you guys introduce yourselves and your positions in the band?
Yeah, I'll go first.
Right on.
Cool. My name is Eric Navarowski, and I play drums in So Much Hope Buried, and I also mix and master all of our stuff.
I'm Derek Nowak, and I am the piano player as well as the singer and the saxophone player for So Much Hope Buried.
My name is Gavin Jacobs, and I pretend like I know how to play bass for So Much Hope Buried.
What's going on? My name is Andrew Blank, and I play guitar and do a little bit of singing for So Much Hope Buried.
Awesome.
He dances too.
Thanks, you guys. And could I this is a question for everyone.
Right on.
Could you guys get into how you got into music, some of your influences, how you got into the band, and just kind of
Do you want us to tell you one as a cohesive, or you want us to go individually?
individually.
Cool.
Me first?
You first.
Cool. Let's see. I got into music at a super early age. My parents bought me a drum set when I was 6, so I started playing drums really early. I played piano before that, and I have very, very, very vague memories of playing piano. But I wanted to quit so bad. I remember being like 5 and being like, I don't want to play piano. I want to hit things. I want to play the drums. So I quit piano, got the drums, played the drums ever since, love them to death. Fast forward, I just played all through high school, played all through, elementary school, middle school. Middle school was my first band. We were like a cover band, as every middle school band is. And I just, kept doing that. That was sweet. This is such a fast version of all of this. Super, super, super fast forward to So Much Hope. Our old vocalist and Derek came to my studio to record something, said, hey, would you like to be the drums in this band, the drummer in this band? And long story short, I said yes. So that is how I got into So Much Hope Buried.
Cool. And then growing up, watching my brothers are extremely talented musicians, and my older brother used to play the piano all the time, and that kind of went to me. And I wanted to learn how to play the piano. I played saxophone in high school growing up, and I got really inspired by bands like Reliant K and Silverstein. And then I was in a couple bands. I was in a band with my brothers called Hybrid Sessions, and then I went to a post-hardcore band called Urvesa, and then a pop punk band called Garden View, and then finally I found the guys who I've meant to be with in So Much Hope Buried. And
You started this band,
blessed.
though.
Yeah,
True.
very
It
blessed.
should be noted that Derek's is
Yeah,
the
Derek
reason this
started
whole
this
band exists.
Yep, 100%.
Yeah, and I'm very blessed that they feel the same way as I do when it comes to how.
Yeah, I was gonna say I can definitely tell there's some definitely metal pop punk and definitely just a lot of influences with I just think it's
Definitely.
really awesome seeing how heavy the instrumentals can go, and then all super melodic and
Right.
so, and then I'll dig into this a little later, but
Of course.
the saxophone, holy shit, that's awesome.
Thank you.
Right on,
Yeah.
man.
That was Andrew's idea, and very happy that he said that, to do that.
Gavin.
Oh, yeah, me. I'm a lover of all things metal.
You can get closer to the mic.
I can get closer to the mic without hunching down. I belong partially to a band called Escape Artists. I've been playing guitar for a long time, but I'm not that good.
He's very good.
But as far as how I joined this band was I was filling in. I knew Eric primarily for a while from that other band recording with him, and one thing led to another, and I guess I was decent enough at the old bass guitar, so now we're here.
It was because you're cute. That's it.
Yes.
That's the only
I
reason
am
you're
I
here.
am
band.
adorable. But
What?
All right, man. I will give you my condensed version. So I started playing the guitar when I was about 12. I wasn't super into it. I ended up like at like a crossroads in my late teens between like wanting to. I was playing sports in high school and learning the guitar. Eventually, the correct path was chosen for me, and I leaned more toward music than the other route. So I dove into like playing through bands and meeting other people and just kind of networking and making my way around. Eventually realized that I really wanted to be like a songwriter. So that's what I'm really passionate about that. But I tell everyone the same story when it comes to So Much Hope, and that is that I was on a lunch break at my job, and I literally just get a call from this dude over here that just and it the call no joke, the call is about 25 seconds long, and it just goes, "Yo, man, you want to be in a band?" And I just said, "Yep, I'll see you." And that's how I joined So Much Hope.
Awesome. Okay, and then the next question I have, and I'd like to hear this from everyone too.
Of course.
What does the name So Much Hope Buried mean to you individually, and what is your goal or mission with the band?
Cool.
good question.
The name means nothing really to me. I don't necessarily think of the band name as a whole lot of importance, especially because I didn't come up with it and I joined the band after the name was already chosen. So for me, the name itself doesn't mean much, but what's underneath and behind the name obviously means kind of everything to me at this point. You talk about goals for the band. This is kind of our lives. This is our careers. This is what we're going to be fighting for until we're dead. So there is a ton of meaning in So Much Hope Buried. But yeah, the name, I don't know. I joined and I was like, that's a weird name. Sure.
Yeah, I think the name for me definitely speaks throughout the lyrics, and as I keep singing about, a lot of the lyrics have a lot to do with mental health and mental illness, and I think that the name is very fitting when it comes to those topics. And you have all your hope just buried, and it just kind of fits the image, as well as the comma and the period fits the artsy fartsy style of it. And then as far as the goals, I would absolutely love to make this a living with my best friends, and just go for it. Yeah.
Awesome.
I think Derek kind of just wanted to flex his grammar skills.
Did I actually?
No.
Did I do good? Did I do good?
You're doing great. You're
Thanks,
doing a
man.
really good job. No, I'm right there with Eric. I'm very new to this band, so I don't really have a ton of experience to say like what it is, but I'll just say I agree a lot with Eric. The band, the members and the image, and it makes the name for me. So but
Yeah.
Derek's the most like sentiment with it. So
Said the word.
But yeah, Derek is the only member who was a part of the naming process.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you probably don't really
It's
care.
I was
either.
I was literally gonna bounce off of all of them, and I said and I was gonna say I agree with Eric and Gavin in the sense that for me the band creates the name.
Yeah.
It's one of those ideals where the name doesn't mean anything without the people and the
Yeah.
songs and the image and everything that encapsulates So Much Hope Buried.
Yeah.
So for me, when I see the name, I think of my brothers in the band, and I think of the songs, and I think of everything that we're doing. So
100%.
that's where
The name could have been anything.
The name could have been anything. It's just the undertones. It's what the name means. It's the baggage that the name carries for me. And then to agree with Derek, I thought the comma and the period were really cool and very standout for a name. And I was like, no one's doing that. That's dope.
You know what though? With the band name, you can't possibly look this up and find something else.
Exactly.
Like, so I play in another band called Toothless. And if you look up Toothless,
It's
you
always
find
that
the dragon.
dragon.
You find the dragon. If you look up escape artist,
You find a lot of escape artists.
yeah,
You find a rapper,
a rapper.
an Indian escape artist. It goes on.
Yeah.
So much Hope Buried has,
No other.
It's so- yeah, it's unique.
individuality to it. And I kind of wholeheartedly will agree with Eric in regards to the goals and aspirations, on a personal level and as a band we want the best for this project, like as any band does. We want to see it at the peak of whatever that success looks like. So I mean that ideally we become a touring act playing arenas, stadiums, what it would be. I mean,
Yeah.
if that's the goal, then so be it. Like,
What's
Yeah.
the Japanese arena? Oh shoot, the big Japanese arena.
I have no idea.
Oh, Budokan. Is that what it's called?
Budokan.
Yeah.
That's it. Officially on
That's it.
this
on
this podcast, the
Sell out
official
Budokan.
goal
Yeah.
for So Much Hope Buried is to sell out
Sell out
Budokan
Budokan.
in Japan.
Yep.
There we go.
Yeah. You heard it here first, guys. So I just to follow up on kind of that, I originally had this question scheduled for later, but I think I'm going to jump
Sure.
into it now.
Let's do it.
So with this album, and then even with the single Apparition, and as kind of what Derek was saying, your guys' music touches a lot on mental health. And I truly believe that music that can be heavy, portraying depression, struggles, abandonment, heartbreak, and whatever, it even though there are heavy topics, I believe they're so important in healing, because it shows people they're not alone in the struggles. What have you seen, like, because I used to really like a lot of emo music, like Mayday Parade, Go Radio, stuff like that.
I love Mayday Parade.
Yeah.
too.
So like, how
Good
have
listening.
you seen
Same.
with talking about, because it's not always easy to be vulnerable, especially nowadays on social media. How has
Right.
being vulnerable, how has it healed you in the writing process, and how have you seen it impacting people, the listeners of your music?
Yeah. As somebody who is extremely vulnerable, and nervous to do everything, and I feel like the only thing that I feel comfortable with is singing, and I'm praying that my words help somebody else. But I've definitely, honestly, through like music, and I've gotten inspired and healed through music. I wouldn't say so much lyrics, but I can see why somebody would get inspired by or healed by like lyrics and words.
Right.
But as far as for me personally, it's more so like the music, and when like a really beautiful like ambient part in a song, and the way somebody sings a specific line, I get like chills, and I don't know, it takes me out of my headspace that I'm in.
Yeah. I think to bounce off of that a little bit too, like I think as a creative, whether that be through music or whatever art form, I think this is true to a lot of people, that in order for art to be seen in its purest forms, sometimes you have to be at your most vulnerable. So, for me as an artist, sometimes there's this understanding of I'm going to put myself into the art, and that art, I'm going to put myself into this medium that's going to get publicized out into the world. So there has to be like almost like a commitment that you're like, you know, for lack of a better term, just like kind of spilling your heart out into your art, and here you go, world, do what you want with it. So that's very interesting from the artist perspective, because I often think about that in regards to like everyone, you know, bands I've come across, artists that I've met. There's almost like a head nod and an understanding that like if you're doing it for the purest of reasons, you're doing it because you're trying to bring your vulnerabilities out through this. So like you kind of have to look at things in a certain light and appreciate them a certain way. And when you do it that way, you're just like, I don't know, there's something very cathartic about it.
Yeah.
That's for me.
Definitely.
Awesome. Okay, I'm gonna one more thing, and then I do want to get on to talking about you guys' music.
Of course.
But so here in the Broken Worship podcast, we talk a lot. I try to share the love and truth of God to people who don't feel comfortable in the church setting.
Mhm.
I try to, I say I'm not a pastor, I'm not a theologian. I'm just real and I love Jesus and I want to love Jesus and love people.
Right on.
And, oh, so I'm gonna, so I believe that as a Christian or as a person of faith, it can feel like we are not supposed to ask the hard questions or struggle with doubts or where God is in our pain, in our abandonment, in our times of doubts. So many times Christians just say that we should pray more or have more faith and then things will be all right. I believe that God doesn't want some made up or fake portrayal of who we are. In the book of Genesis, God allows Jacob to wrestle with him. God can't handle God can handle our pain and our doubts. He wants a genuine relationship, which means genuine conversations. In your guys' experience, do you believe that churches or religion either have pushed you away or made you question God's love because of guilt, shame, or unacceptance? How do you think Christians or people of faith could do better with addressing mental health or people seeking God's love but don't feel accepted or feel uncomfortable in the church setting?
Woo!
Wow.
Yeah,
That's a great question.
that's tough.
Mhm.
I mean, I've grown up in the church. I live, I love Jesus. I live my life to to honor God. But I've definitely seen a lot of pain and hurt come from the church,
Mhm.
and it sucks because it's the church. But I think the problem is actually our view of our societal view of it. Um, you got terrible people doing terrible things everywhere. It doesn't matter whether it's in a church or, wherever. If someone, did something awful outside of a church, just, in some slums, no one's going to be like, how could you? But if you did something terrible in a church setting, the expectation is wrong. But then people put this expectation on church people to be God or
Mhm.
be Jesus. And it's like, hey, no, what it says in the Bible is not what they're acting, right? So just because someone's treating you poorly, God doesn't tell you to do that. So you can't judge God based off of how somebody is acting,
Right.
right? Like you can't look at all this terrible church hurt, if you will.
Mhm.
It's kind of a buzzword, but church hurt,
Right.
and think that that is a representation of God or Jesus or what God or Jesus wants.
Mhm.
You know,
It's
so
just a body doing what a body
yeah,
would do.
it's a person being sucky.
You
It's
know,
just a person doing sucky things.
we were created with the power of choice, and it's
Yeah,
just like
100%.
so it's just like if there's wrongdoing,
Yeah.
that was chosen that way.
So I believe that as an individual, you should look into the Bible, look into what God says, and choose, like, is this something that I want to follow?
Mhm.
And do I want to follow this because this is what the teaching of the religion or of the book is? Or am I judging what the teaching of the book is based off of how people who say they follow it actually act? And it's like, no.
Right.
And I say it all the time. If I went up to somebody who knows, I live my life like Christ, right? I try my best to live my life like Christ. I try to follow biblical principles as much as I possibly can. If I went up to someone who knows that and I said, I'm a Buddhist, they would go, no, you're not. I don't care what you say. You can say, or literally any other religion, Buddhism, Islam, Hinduism, like literally anything. If I said anything else, they would go, no, you're not, because that's not the way that you act.
Right.
So how would it be fair for someone judging, like, you can't judge Buddhism off of the way I act, because I don't do, I don't do that. And you can't judge
off the teachings of Buddha.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You have to judge it off of the teachings of said religion or book or whatever
Right.
of entity.
So
And
I
I
mean,
think the same thing with Christianity. Like, you can't judge it based off of someone who says they follow it, because they're human and they're probably not going to follow it perfectly.
exactly.
You have to judge it based off of what the teaching is.
Mhm. At the end of the day, the church is just a building.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I just think that I think that a lot of people, when they talk about, like, hey, the church, the church hurt me, or every time that I've been around a Christian or whatever, like, it's been bad. And honestly, since we're talking about music, I think Under Oath is a great example.
Mhm.
Under Oath
Yeah.
took a dive just so far away from God, so
Yeah.
far away from Christianity. And then I was like, okay, well, why? And you look up into Spencer's life, and I think he was on heroin or something, and sought help
Mhm.
through Christian organizations, and didn't find the help that he needed. So therefore he goes, I hate
Through
God.
those learned experiences,
Yeah.
you've made the decision to be like, this is the path I'm going on now.
Yeah. And to me, not trying to throw shade
Never.
at Spencer, but I don't think that that's an accurate representation of God. It's like, I feel bad for you that you seeked help and you couldn't find it based off of people who claimed Christianity. But if you went to a group of people who were literally any other religion and said, I'm on heroin and I need help, and they pushed you out, would it be fair to go, well, whatever they believe is wrong? It's like, no.
Mhm.
Like, you have to follow what the actual teaching is. So I think people who reference, church hurt and, oh, I don't feel comfortable in a church setting, or whatever. I think the best thing you could possibly do is study what the religion teaches. Study what the Bible teaches. And I say the Bible now because we're talking about Christianity, but like,
Right.
I've studied other religions. Like, I've read through the Quran.
Mhm.
I went to college courses about Buddhism and Hinduism, and I read the Satanic Bible. Like, I did my due diligence to read other texts and say, well, what does this text believe, and not just look at who practices it, because they probably don't practice it 100%.
Mhm.
And I'll be the first to admit, I don't with Christianity. I don't think people should judge God based off of me. I think that it would be such a disservice to God and to Jesus to judge God off of me, a terribly broken person.
Yeah. Can I chime in there for a
Yeah,
second? 'Cause,
please.
Of course.
this Spencer thing that I've thought a lot about this, and so it's sad to see as I'm not going to say get into what he said, but there was the Under Oath went on to Bring Me the Horizon,
Yeah,
and
I saw that.
so they said something pretty, he said something pretty nasty about God, and I just, so it's sad to see, and like, you have to, there's a personal accountability for him, like, but at the same time, where was he went to Christians for help.
Right.
He sought help. And they're like, F you, like, you're a drug addict. Like, they're blaming him when
Yeah.
he's when you're like, you're supposed to come as you are, like, imperfect, broken. Like, the church is supposed to be for everyone, and
Right.
and then they're like, F you, you're like you're a piece of shit for struggling for this, when he I think it could have been a total radical if so it really bums me out about how the church and then the people that judged him are the ones still judging him now, and it just makes me sad.
Right.
Right.
Breaks your heart.
And
Yeah.
and I think that's crap. I think that sucks that that happened, and I think that isn't right that that happened. But I also, when you say personal accountability, like this man is in his 30s. He's an intellectual thinker, and I know that he can intellectually think through the fact that just because these people did something wrong and these people hurt you does not mean that that is what God is like.
Right.
Like you can't do that. So, but
Exactly.
unfortunately he did, and now he's saying some pretty heinous stuff, which is a shame. But I don't know. I mean, whatever his path is, only God knows what's going to happen at the end.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. Well, let's unless someone else has something to chime in, I'm ready to dig in a little bit about your music.
Right on. Let's go for it.
Awesome. So I've been following your band for quite a while now, and then about 10 months ago, you guys, I believe, correct me, about 10 months ago, you guys released a single called Apparition.
I'd say about 10 months, right?
was it 10 months?
Yeah, because it was July of last year. So it's 11 months now.
Ooh,
Okay.
almost said the
Wow.
Wow.
And I just fell in love with it. It was beautiful, poetic, melodic, and
Thank
also
you.
musically aggressive as well.
Yeah, blast beats, baby.
Yeah. So and then I also musically it was blew me away, and then just the core, and then it's just tackling the big questions of the afterlife. So what was your inspiration? Was there a loss that you guys wrote about? And because it didn't make it onto the album, I was wondering if this was like a prelude to the album, because it felt pretty topically similar to the full length.
That's cool. I'm gonna be totally honest with you. So thankfully, I did not sing about a loss in my family or anything like that. But I'm a big like horror movie fan, and I've always wanted to write a song about just some person seeing a ghost of like a loved one in their room and just kind of sing about, wanting to know more and try to understand what's going on and why he's seeing an apparition of, a loved one. And I mean, I think that might be all I have for you, is just that is basically just the story of the song. Is just I've always wanted to write a song about a spooky ghost, and yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, at its core, I feel like it's funny because like Derek will often talk about how it's a work of fiction, but we've noticed that there is an emotional core to that lyricism that we've noticed resonated with a lot of people. We've gotten a lot of like online comments talking about how talking about loss and stuff like that, and how they found this at a
And
perfect time
it
and
helped
all.
them through
Yeah,
that
so
situation.
it's like I
And,
said,
I mean,
it's interesting because that reverts back to your other question that you had previously about recognizing vulnerability within your audience and how art has a tendency of doing that.
I'm actually very like thankful that I wrote that song, because like the lyrics, the words really, all of us experience loss. And I feel like that song can resonate even with us, if we, in a time of,
Yeah.
trouble and feeling that way. And I feel like that song can really like resonate with
Absolutely.
even myself, if because
Like
I
I said,
definitely listen to it.
There is an emotional core in that work of lyricism. So
Right.
it's just it connects with the human spirit in a way,
Right.
Awesome. So I think and then next, let's get it started, getting into your album of "I'd Be Lying to Say I'm Not Weak." And so the first single, "Vacant Home," it encompassed some of that aggressive music, and then still that like almost like gloomy emotion too. And then I just had to say the so I thought it was so cool that you guys subtitled the song and then the guest vocalist
Let's go.
um so different language, and it was like I almost went because I watched the music video first and then I just listened to it on Spotify
Right
a
on.
few times, and it's like you
Cool.
it's almost like you don't need to know what he's saying to hear what he's feeling. And it's just
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
it's like just so like aggressive and just heavy and like at the same time like hopeful and just like I don't know. So could
So true.
so I try to talk about this song on one of my music segments of a podcast. Can you talk about who the guest vocal and how I think I butchered his name, how to say it. And how do you
Someone
guys
say it
get
before he butchers
him
it.
on?
Yeah. So his name is Mochi Naga, and he's from a band called Fall of Tears. And I think kind of what you mentioned before was kind of why it was one of the perfect vocalists for the spot, is that you said it doesn't matter even what he's saying, but you can kind of feel what he's feeling. He just has that kind of vocal style and vocal scream, and it was kind of a nod back to our old EP Sentiment. So we used to be a metal band. I guess we're still sort of a metal band. I don't know. I guess we're post-hardcore. I don't know about genres. I don't care. We used to have a lot of screaming. Now we don't. But it was sort of a nod to like, I was like, this is kind of what the old stuff sort of did. Um, and it was challenging for sure. We reached out to him. He basically told us he doesn't speak English very well, or really much at all,
He
and
was
we
using
don't.
like a translating app
Yeah,
to
and
like
we don't
communicate.
speak Japanese. I've been trying.
Yeah.
I'm like 600 days into learning
Duolingo, baby.
Japanese. Yeah, Duolingo, baby. But so yeah, we went back and forth with him for a while, and it was really funny. One of the texts that always gets me kind of a little chuckle out of me is we asked him when he thought he was going to finish just tracking and sending over his parts. And the one thing that translated really funny, it was like, I should be done like shooting it
or filming.
or something, yeah, by next week. And we were like, is he shooting a video with this? Like, what is going on? He was not shooting a video. He sent us over the audio tracks. But yeah, it was just so sick. And honestly, like, we hope and pray that one day we are able to tour Japan and have him on stage with us. That would just be
That'd be cool.
the coolest thing
That'd be awesome.
ever.
That's
Hell
the
yeah.
goal for that particular song.
Yeah.
Yeah,
If it was an
honestly.
end goal for Vacant Home.
Home.
It's the
It's tour Japan with Mochi
Vacant
Naga.
Home comes
Dude.
home.
Absolutely.
And we don't, when we do that part live, it's just a blast beat.
Mhm.
It's just empty. I mean, nobody knows Japanese well enough to scream.
Yeah.
We're going to make Gavin learn it
There you go.
because Gavin can scream pretty well,
Sounds
but
right.
he doesn't know Japanese. So that's a bit of a struggle. But yeah, so the communication was a little tricky, and we just kind of persevered through it, and we ended up getting our tracks, and it was so sick. And just to be able to collaborate with somebody literally across the world is the coolest thing ever.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. I actually was wondering how you did that live, but yeah, that's just kind of
Yeah, we just don't.
yeah.
We just
I
jam
mean,
out.
yeah, it's a really
Yeah.
cool part
That
on
hurt
its
my
own. So
neck.
if you cut the lyricism out, it's not the end of the world
Right.
because we're just straight blast beating our way through the
Yeah.
whole part.
Hell
It's
yeah.
kind of like we have a blast in literally that song and an apparition. Those are
Yeah,
the only two
that's right.
sections, and apparition we always finish the set with. So we have a blast in the beginning of the set and the end of the set, but I mean, people don't usually expect a blast
For a band like
well,
us,
and especially a blast. It's like a pretty quick one for a band like this. So it's kind of like our moment live where it's just, let's go.
Let's just jam the fuck out. So and I'm not gonna I'm not gonna dig into every song on there because we would be here a
Sure.
while, but
Right
two
on.
of my favorite songs that aren't singles would be Fade and Idle Hands.
Ooh,
Cool.
a
Cool.
fade.
Yeah.
So those are just um it just like musically genius you guys are, and just
Oh, right
Oh my
on.
gosh, thank you.
Wow, thank you.
lyrically,
Appreciate
like
that.
just all you guys do, like I you guys are something else in the best way
Aw.
possible. Like
Wow.
Thank you,
um
brother.
Thank you.
so I just and then so some of my so I just wrote a couple of lyrics that really spoke out in Fade.
Of course.
I can't, I just can't speak without this cadency that we all end up alone. That like hits. And then I don't want to watch you fade away. Since you left, I haven't been the same. I guess it's true that things don't change. It's been so long now and I'm so afraid. Just the like the how that hit me, and it's like I think a
Yeah.
lot of us like question that within ourselves, and just it's like holy shit, these guys are speaking what I'm thinking. And like
Right on.
Wow.
it's like it's heavy, but it's healing, like I kind of talked
Mhm.
about. And then with
Yeah.
Idle Hands, like it was like kind of like wrestling with God, and then hang me on the wall of forgotten things, and then of the saxophone on top of it. I just you guys are just so awesome. So I just
Thank
wanted to ask you guys, and then speaking in poetry, and I'd be like, I that so that was really awesome, and then I'd be lying, just the ending, and I thought it was cool. You in the music video, you included
Yeah.
intercessor in that, but that was like the perfect ending of the album. But
Yes.
I just wanted to ask you guys, what's your favorite, like what's like one of your guys like favorite of the album, and then like favorite to perform live?
Mm.
Somebody
Awesome.
just asked me
Cool.
that today.
Yeah.
Funny enough.
What was your answer?
It's very difficult. I picked 3. Idle
I'm
Hands.
gonna make you pick one.
Oh.
Ha.
All right.
Ooh.
Maximum difficulty.
I guess Idle Hands because I get to play jazz.
There you go.
I don't know. That's not. It's like Idle Hands is the most um genre jumping.
Yeah.
I guess. So you get to do as the drummer, you get to do the heavy parts, the burning in there, burning in there, burning in there, and then I get like cool little 16 note like triplet sounds, kind of stuff. So
Yeah.
that's cool. The verses being like super stripped down, I get a lot of ghost notes in there. I mean the sax part just rips, and the jazz section, like I don't know, it's the most dynamic for me.
Mm.
So it's probably the most fun for me to
Right.
play. I'll go with Idle
That's it.
Hands, I guess.
Wow. The one that like means the most to me would probably be Lucid, because I wrote that all on piano, but also the lyrics really hit home of like how I truly feel about just everything. But I think actually my favorite song to perform live isn't on the album. I would say Dissolve is so much fun. It makes me want to move around and do like a circle pit. Unfortunately, I'm at the piano and I can't do that, but still, it's a lot of fun. And then like Idle Hands is a lot of fun, but I'm
Yeah.
doing so much.
Yeah, I was gonna say you're all over the
Like
place.
I'm doing
with
some
that.
crazy like piano runs,
Then you gotta sing, and you gotta play sax.
but it's not like too high though, which is
Yeah.
nice. Yeah.
Just a lot with your hands in that one.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. But I would say Fade, that the bridge to Fade is like I want to like
Yeah.
I don't know, do like a backflip
much
on Fade
energy.
or something.
This guy
I could.
can back handspring.
Oh yeah, that's another goal
During
too.
Fade.
Did Derek can legitimately do a back handspring? Like act like he probably should.
I have a video
We
of it for
probably
you.
could in this room, to
I'll
be
do a
honest.
video
with
after we're done.
No, that's a bad
you.
idea.
But another goal for this band is for Derek to do a back handspring during the set.
Yeah, oh yeah,
and not dying.
That would be dope.
All right, Gavin.
I agree. That would be so dope.
Gavin's just learning right now that Derek can do a back handspring.
Yeah, right.
My favorite song to play is idle hands, even though it's stressful. There's a lot going on there.
Yeah, you ripping
talk
that.
about, I try to. And
Yeah, well,
when
you
I
get
don't
to.
rip on that, I feel bad. But my favorite song off of the record is Vacant Home, I would say.
Wow.
It's a toss up between a lot of them. But I'll tell you why is while in the fill-in days, I remember playing the Moon Tavern, and
Yeah.
the emotion that welled up in me. There was a kid watching us, just like a little kid watching, and I was like, I know this probably doesn't mean anything to you, but God, I hope it means something to you someday. So it's
Oh wow.
the amount of descriptiveness.
Heck yeah.
I don't know. I feel like Derek watches a movie in his head when he's writing lyrics, because it like translates to me
Yeah.
Yeah.
so well that I'm able to just like, you're just able to close your eyes and like see exactly what's happening. And Vacant Home's a huge contender in that, but Apparition's a really good one. A lot of songs, but those are my picks.
As a
That's cool.
a quick PS, Gavin joined after the record was done.
Yes.
After I'd Be
Yeah.
Lying was finished.
Yeah, I was
So
in
he didn't actually have a part in writing it. But he was filling in because we decided to just be the three of us for the longest time after our bassist quit, and we were like, forget it. And then after many shows of filling in, we were like, hey, you should just join this band. And he did. Anyways,
You
go
joined.
ahead.
Yes. Mine is Apparition. To play live, just solely because like you talked about the expanse being a band of like expansive genres. We're just kind of all over the place. I'm a sucker for a good like hook pop song. Apparitions is that one for me. So like I said, I am the guitar player, but I prefer like I'm just a sucker for a good song. And like
Yeah.
and that one just that's the sing along for me. So I'm all about it.
That's a good song.
Honestly, Dissolve is up there for me too.
I love.
Yeah, Dissolve is a blast to play live.
Yeah. And the
Yeah.
acoustic version's pretty sick.
Awesome. Do you guys have any crazy or fun moments, either playing shows, touring, or just recording that, just kind of any like crazy or funny moments?
stories.
I have too many.
I have none.
Please. It wasn't in this band, but I used to be in a band where our vocalist gets arrested on stage because he fought a security guard. This is such a long story, and I'm going to keep it
Imagine if
short.
this was Derek.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah. Nope. It's Hungry Lights.
I was on a tour. It was literally day one, first show of the tour. Vocalist gets arrested. I have to go find him. I have to try to get him out of jail, realizing that the jail transferred him to the prison. Had to go get him out of prison. It was a mess. It was an absolute mess. That story is very long, so I was trying to keep it a little bit short. But yeah, so I was on tour. Our vocalist got arrested day one. That's a cool story. I got to play in the UK with Napalm Death. It was sick. If you know who Napalm Death is.
So sick.
I'm sure there's many, but I don't know. You got
So
something.
we have so much hope ones. Or is the
Um,
band like still too young for that?
We
So
played a lot of
I've been
shows.
trying to
yeah,
think
we
of so
we
much
have
hope
been playing a
ones.
lot of shows. Honestly, we just played our LP release show,
Yes.
and that was pretty awesome and super humbling. Like it wasn't crazy per se. Like
Right.
Derek got Derek
Derek
kind of
got arrested.
bartender.
Yeah.
Yeah, he got arrested. But man, it was just
I would
such
lose.
it was such a good night. It was such a good night. And during one of the songs off of our record, Worry About Me, we had everybody in the audience like have their phones out and they were, doing like
That was
the
so
light thing.
Yeah,
which is,
keep
like
keep in mind
sick.
in the context of this band, we still consider this band very young.
Yeah,
So
it
we're
is.
like, yeah. So we still have a ways to go before we can give you road stories.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, once we switched members and we were no longer the old sound,
Yeah.
we very, very, very quickly, maybe a little too fast, put out Dissolve. That was just kind of like, hey, we don't sound metal anymore. And then we put out Apparition soon after.
Right.
And I mean, and you're saying Apparition isn't even a year old yet. So
11 months. 11 months.
yeah, so really like we've only been this iteration of this band for like a little over a year.
Yeah.
So yeah, the road stories are coming.
Yeah. Well,
On the
if you
next
ever,
episode that we're on, something's gonna happen.
Yeah.
Unless Derek has one.
Well,
if
there,
you
yeah.
ever
So,
make it to, oh, sorry.
I'm
I was just
sorry.
gonna say, if you ever make it to South Dakota, you have your number one fan right here. So,
Oh,
That's
don't worry,
awesome.
brother. We're coming.
Yeah. Honestly, yeah. So like we have a lot of plans for the future of
Exactly.
touring and
We'll
doing-
definitely make it
doing
your way
stuff.
soon.
Yeah, we're coming to South Dakota.
dope.
What'd you have, Derek?
I just wanted to say like one little funny moment with me. I was on stage our last show that we played, and during fade I switched the keyboard to like an 80s piano sound.
Yeah.
Like 80s. And then I forgot to switch it back. So the whole next song, I don't know if anyone noticed.
It's Idle
but
Hands.
Yeah, it's
Idle
Idle
Hands?
Hands.
No way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would have
After
noticed
Fade?
that.
After
Yeah,
Fade is
Fade's
Idle
Idle Hands.
Really?
So you're
Yeah.
telling me? So Derek's saying that Idle Hands sounded like an '80s version.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
It was
that
groovy.
if I was in, I wish I was in the crowd and I heard that because I was like, that was
That'd
really
be kinda
embarrassing.
Sick. Yeah.
Yeah, the monitor situation at our last show wasn't the best, so you couldn't hear anything.
And then
Yeah.
the one show, I forgot my neck strap for my saxophone, so I played the entire solo on my knee. I was like holding up my sax. I'm weak.
Yeah.
I was holding up my saxophone on my
Derek
on my
got
knee.
like this weird angle.
Yeah.
You know what's
Like a
weird about
bodybuilding
that
pose.
story is like I was sitting behind the drum set and he turned around like before he turned around, I don't know why, but my brain thought, did Derek forget his neck strap for the sax? And then boom, he forgot it. I was like, you've got to be kidding me,
Oh,
man.
boy.
That's insane. So yeah, that happened. That's a cool
It
one.
worked out.
You killed it
Yeah.
though.
Yeah.
Yeah. Next time that happens, just let me know like 30 seconds ahead of time, and I'll just come and I'll crouch under you.
Yeah.
You get his place
That's
on like my
on your back.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's a good idea.
There's a reason for this question. Is there a like a concrete dinosaur park near you?
So
Or do you know
I
what I'm talking about?
I believe that's out in the Rapid City area, which
Yeah.
is so that's west of the state. That's a good like 5-6 hours from me.
Okay.
Oh, right on.
All right. So my favorite musical artist forever, Owl City, talks about that park in South Dakota. So
I
I
live
was just so curious.
Yeah, I live on the boring side of the state.
Okay.
Out west, there's Mount Rushmore. There's the Black Hills. There's
You have a lot of rock.
a mountainous area. I live on flat farming.
The flat
country.
area.
The flats of South Dakota.
Well, yeah, there's a song off the newest Owl City record called Dinosaur Park.
Yeah.
And
Oh,
I was just
cool.
curious. I wasn't gonna be weird and be like, hey, where do you live? Dox you. But like, yeah, it's just
Sending the Coast Guard your way.
I want to go there so bad because of
because of
Adam
that
Young.
song.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah,
What a-
Power of music, man.
Yeah.
power
One
of
of my
music.
favorite musical artists.
So we got a little bit left. I just kind of wanted to tell you guys so because I wrote a little thing I wanted to share with you kind of about my backstory and kind
course.
of the heart behind the broken worship, and then I wanted to read a poem for you guys, and then I have I think maybe a couple of closing things that I want but I'm gonna
Yeah.
quickly this is a little bit sharing about me. So I wanted to briefly mention a little bit about me, about my backstory and why I felt called to pursue broken worship. In my past, I was diagnosed with a speech impediment, and my parents were actually recommended to teach me sign language because there was severe doubt that I was going to be able to speak properly. By the grace of God and my parents' belief in me and a lot of hard work, I was able to overcome my speech impediment. But having my speech impediment really severely impacted my self-esteem. When I did overcome my speech impediment, I felt like I was supposed to do something important with my life, like become a pastor or or a motivational speaker, but I did not know what I wanted to do because I felt inadequate. I remember having my parents have to help me extra with homework and reading. I also tried to go to college after high school, but I really struggled and decided to move back home after my first semester. I started to work with my dad at our family business delivering magazines. And while I was doing that, I grew in my love of music and started to learn how to scream with my best friend at the time. We
Right on.
started a local metal band called Rebuild the Fallen. We ended up releasing a 5-song EP and that we called Outcast and played 10 local shows. If you ever want to check that EP is on Spotify. So
Right on.
yeah.
Word.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember at our EP release party thinking, holy shit, I'm actually on stage in front of people affecting lives with my voice when I wasn't supposed to even be able to speak. Even though I was making a difference in my band, I still really struggled with my self-esteem and I fell hard into abusing alcohol, my lust, and just a really dark time in my life. All that time in my life, I also lost a friend to who um he kind of did himself in and but because of depression and stuff. And he was a huge part of helping me in my journey of faith. So I that really messed me up, but I was very broken. But even in my brokenness, I felt like God never left me and he still had a plan and a purpose for my life. When the band broke up, I was still not in a great place, but I still wanted to use my artistic ability and I still had a desire to pursue God. I decided to write a book of poetry that I titled Broken Worship. I wanted to share God's love for people who felt marginalized and didn't feel comfortable in a church setting. With my experiences with my speech impediment and being a part of the local metal community, I really felt led to share God's love in in a different way than a whole lot of people know through church or religious settings. Um, I have grown in my faith and my spiritual and mental health, thanks to the grace of God and the people in my life, and especially my now wife, Debbie. I believe that religion and politics have done a lot of harm and a lot of division. I believe and feel called to share the love and truth of God by actually going back to the fundamentals of the greatest commandment of loving God with all that we are and loving our neighbor as ourselves. We need love and we need unity, especially right now with all this brokenness and division. I am not a pastor. I'm not a theologian. I am just a person that loves God and wants to be the hands and feet of Jesus by loving his people. I will never claim to be perfect, but I will always strive to be real. I have now published 6 books and have started this podcast to grow the broken worship community. As a thank you for joining me on this podcast, I would like to gift you guys my 6 published books. After this podcast, if we could be in touch and if you could provide me a PO box or an address that I send you guys these signed copies of my books, I would really appreciate it. So yeah, I got 6 books. This one's the original Broken Worship. Um
All
and
right.
then
Sweet.
uh
Awesome.
Word, brother.
No Darkness and Light.
Wow.
Imperfectly Spreading a Perfect Gospel. Um Ground to Stand On. Um Saving Grace, It's Not About You Anymore. This is one of my most proud one because this is an actual hardcover book.
Oh wow.
That's
So,
awesome.
and then my newest one, My Faith Will Not Be Safe. And then I just wanted to share a poem from my newest book for you guys.
Of
Great.
course.
So this one's called Welcome Home. We all feel the need to keep it together. When we want to pour our hearts out, we decide we better just drown in the pressure. Into okay, sorry. We all feel the need to keep it together. When we want to pour our hearts out, we decide we better just drown in the pressure until whispers turn to shouts. Somewhere along the line, we have all lost faith. Somehow we have all realized we don't have what it takes. Losing sleep because what's the point in dreaming? If there was ever any sense of hope, it has now lost all meaning. We live day after day, living just to waste away. Are we living just because we are scared of dying, or are we dying because we have never truly lived? We kill ourselves to show the world we've truly tried, trying to build our name until we're left behind. We ask if there is a God, does he even care to see our pain? Or, or have all the words we've prayed been in vain? Is our suffering a part of some master plan, or are we just here on this earth by chance? Seeking answers seems to only lead to more questions. Seeking out perfection only amplifies our imperfections. We long to be a part of something greater than ourselves, longing for someone to understand the pain we have felt. So many of us try to carry the weight of the world on our own, forever misunderstood and always alone, bruised and broken by the ones that we love, living in remorse for all that we've done. Believe me when I say, for so many years, my heart was numb by the pain. So many nights I tried to drink my way to the grave. I truly believed there was nothing to save. I know what it's like to feel like nobody cares, feeling like the world would be better off if you were never there. And if there is a God, why would he care to look at me? Sin and shame is all he would ever see. I want you all to know that there is a God on the throne that has never left you alone. There is a God who sees every tear that's shed in agony, a Father who wants to welcome you home, a Father who claims you as his own. We may be lost, we may be broken, but we are not hopeless. We are treasured and we are loved. Our Savior gave his life for us. When we admit that we are lost, we allow our hearts to be found by the Father who claims us as his home. We will be welcomed home. So yeah.
Awesome.
Word.
That's beautiful.
Amen. Beautiful.
It's awesome, man.
So yeah, thanks. So yeah, if after this, if someone who's been emailing me if could send an address, I'd love to send you guys a copy of my books.
Right on, man.
That's
Yeah.
awesome.
So before we wrap up, is there could you let everyone who's listening know how to find your band, your new album, your merch, or any way that they can follow and support you guys?
Yeah. So, first of all, I just want to say thank you for sharing all that with us. That's really great, and I'm really excited to look more into your book.
Agreed.
But when it comes to supporting us, you can go on our website, somuchhopeberry.com, and see, our merchandise as well as any upcoming shows. And Eric's wife Sarah did all of the merch design, so they are incredibly or beautifully done.
Incredibly incredible.
Incredibly beautifully done. Words don't work for me, but
as the lyricist.
isn't that
Incredible,
sad?
incredible.
That's definitely sad. And then you can follow us on Facebook, Instagram, X, Twitter,
Yeah, Instagram.
Whatever you want to call
Instagram.
and
I think Instagram.
Stream the album, but we'll appreciate you more if you buy it.
we have vinyl records.
Yeah, actually.
And
Hey!
Awesome.
That's what's up.
Nice.
Awesome. Well, So I would just want to thank you for tuning in. I want to just do one more shout out to the guys. So much hope buried. I hope you guys will all check out their new album. I'd be lying to say I'm not weak. I will get you all their social media stuff on the description below. So I truly want to thank you guys for being here. I feel very humbled and blessed that you guys were willing to come on and give your time to be here. I hope we can do this again soon. I want to thank you all for tuning into this episode of the Broken Worship Podcast. If you would like to help support Broken Worship, I would love it if you would check out the Broken Worship website, which will be in the description below, but it's www.broken-worship.com. All 6 of my published books, as well as dope Broken Worship merch, are all available on the Broken Worship website. Another easy way to support Broken Worship and to stay up to date with all things new for Broken Worship, please like, share, and subscribe on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and Spotify. All of this information will be provided in the description below. Thanks again for tuning into this episode of the Broken Worship Podcast. I am so humbled and blessed by all the support I have received with Broken Worship. And here in the Broken Worship community, we remember, even in our brokenness, we have a reason to worship. Thank you, and God bless. And thanks you guys for being here. If we could email with that address, that'd be great. So
100%.
thanks.
Thank
I
you so
really
much for having
appreciate
us, Zach.
it. Have a
Thank
great
you.
Do it right
night.
now.
Much
Appreciate
love
it.
and
Nice to meet
God
ya.
bless.